Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astrogate Mysore. So today I am going into the subject of sixth house and Saturn. So what are the results when Saturn is pushed in the sixth house? This is a very big chapter of Saturn. I will try to do it on point wise and try to keep it as short as possible, but still this is a long video. Anyway, so sixth house, there are two karakas for the sixth house. The significations of the sixth house first: Ripu, Runa, Roga. These are the three major significations of the sixth house. Ripu, enemies. Runa, loan. Run is loan. And Roga is the house of disease. That is the sixth house. The other major significations are maternal uncles, which are to be seen from the sixth house, and service, competitiveness, and motivation. I have left out that point of motivation. Okay, I'll just make a note. Motivation and fear. Fear here in the sense is not the fear of tackling situations, which actually is the third house, but here the fear is with regard to the results of, for example, exams, the anxiety, the pressure. So let me deal about that also with regard to the placement of Saturn in the sixth house. So anyway, when I deal with Saturn, I would be telling three levels of Saturn. If Saturn is well posited, Saturn is well posited when it is either exalted or in its own house or in its Mula Trikona Sthana, or when it is along with its friend or in its friend's house. Saturn is also well posited usually if it is in the third, sixth, and the 11th houses from the Ascendant. But anyway, this is the sixth house. Usually, Saturn gives very good results in the sixth house. There are also bad results in the sixth house, which I am very clearly, specifically, particularly highlighting in this particular talk. But even when Saturn is positive in the sixth house and if it is debilitated, if it is combust, if it is posited in an enemy's house, then we call this Saturn as a weak Saturn. And afflicted Saturn is a Saturn when it is posited along with a malefic like Rahu, when it is posited in Rashi Ganda, like in between Jyeshtha Nakshatra and Mula Nakshatra, in between Raivati Nakshatra and Ashwini Nakshatra, in between Ashlesha Nakshatra and Makha Nakshatra. So these are called Gandantara. So these are abyss. There is, the Nakshatra also closes there, the Rashi also closes there. So and then we need to jump into a new Rashi, into a new Nakshatra. When we are jumping from one Rashi to another Rashi and the Nakshatra is not continued, these three places happen to be called as Rashi Ganda, where Nakshatra is also finished with the Rashi. So these positions are called as malefic positions for Saturn, wherein Saturn does not give good results at all. Very less good results until unless it is very strongly aspected by a benefic planet. So anyway, let us go into one by one slowly. Okay, so what all I have told: Ripu, Runa, Roga, service, competitiveness, fear, motivation, all these things to be seen from the sixth house. First of all, when we see Saturn in the sixth house, we should understand that the person is internally motivated for service, selfless service. So these people love to do charity, these people love to do hard work. They are like, they don't expect anything when they are doing charity and then when they are doing service. I'm not telling that people when they do charity they will not expect. That is a very simple way of telling it. But I am telling you, Kali Yuga is such a yuga, that is this particular era is such that even charity people don't do it for free. Though there is not monetary gain from it, they will have a huge mileage which they will expect things to happen their way politically, socially, and many other things which they would want to get because of their charitable services, what they are doing, or else they would not come there and do it at all. So, I'll tell you 90% of these charity is being done by people who want something in return. So these people with Saturn in the sixth house, they will not expect anything in return. They love to do it because it is there in their genes, in the blood. They want to do service. Excellent people to do service. So, and they are very, the integrity is very high in service. So, for example, I have seen people, uh, doing community service, people doing very tough services wherein even paid workers don't do that. Going from house to house, trying to educate the people with regard to their rights. Who will do all this? It's so tough to do. I will tell you about it. We call it as rebelistic, revolutionary, reforming services. So I will come to that later. This is in my point 5, but still I'll come to that. So the second point here is the perspective towards physical intimacy. So one should understand, if I take the 12th house, which is for bed comfort or physical intimacy, and we feel, if at all a person has to feel comfortable with another person in that particular position, then 12th house, it has to be well posited. Now the 6th house is 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is the 7th from the 12th house. So that means it is an opposition. So for the 11th house, 5th house is an opposition. For the 12th house, 6th house is an opposition. So when Saturn, a very slow moving, sluggish, sober planet, is sitting there in the 6th house, they will think of physical intimacy in a very different way. They will have it. It's not that they don't want physical intimacy or they despise it. They don't like it, or there is a lot of negative urge that happens if there is a negative placement of Saturn in the sixth house, along with a very bad position of Rahu or Moon, a weak Moon. So these people will also have a repulsive thinking with regard to physical intimacy. I'm not using that word particularly. So, this perspective with a normal Saturn in the sixth house also is little difficult, because it will tell the person that, okay, I can give you this if you can give me care, attention, and affection. So, a family after marriage will be running in a normal way. It will not be, like if this person with a sixth house Saturn is married to a person who wants erotic, aggressive, and he's having too much of need, then the marriage will break. It's very difficult to sustain. Or there will be some stupid arrangement wherein both the husband and wife will agree to disagree. You should understand what I'm trying to tell. So this perspective happens with people who are having Saturn in the sixth house or Sun in the sixth house. So these two planets are both opposite to each other, but with regard to this particular point of physical intimacy, both Saturn and Sun both do not prefer too much into it. They don't go into it. So Mars, yes, sixth house Mars, it loves a lot of aggression, lot of motivation, and so many things. But Saturn, no. So they easily get into infections of the pelvis. They get into the infection of the abdomen, sexual organs, reproductive organs in particular, UTI, HPV problem, human, papilloma virus, or something like that. These things happen because of immunodeficiency. So, people who are having a weak Saturn in the sixth house might get problems of deficiency. So I should not go too much into the medical things. I am not a qualified medical doctor to talk all that, but still, with all the research in medical astrology, what and I have done and I have gone through in detail, people with Saturn, with many other planets, I will do it. I am giving you a list of planets and their ailments, what might become chronic in nature in the next points I am telling it. But usually people with a weak Saturn or a debilitated Saturn, compass Saturn, or a malefically posited Saturn, that Saturn with Rahu, I told you, or Saturn with Mars, they will go through problems of these types like abdomen, infection of the intestines, something like hernia. So many problems which are not that, great, like arthritis, etc. So anyway, they will have to go through it. If that is written in their prarabdha, it is very difficult to avoid this. With lot of hard work and meditation and yoga, a person can avoid to a certain extent. If the sixth house is good, well posited sixth lord, along with a good sixth house Saturn, then there will be a lot of support from maternal uncle. Monetary support, there will be a lot of psychological support for opening a business or anything like that. Beautiful support will be there with regard to education and all those things. But if it is weak, both it shows that the maternal uncles also will suffer. It's an indication. And also, there will be not much good relationship between the maternal uncles and the native. So, let us go to point number 5. Dissatisfied due to non-recognition if it is a weak Saturn. What is the dissatisfaction with regard to not getting recognized after even doing the hard work? They feel like I am doing donkey's work here and still I am not getting recognized, sir. I don't know what to do. I am doing it from past so many years. I am not getting a promotion. I am not even getting, somebody coming and telling me that, wow, you have done a good job. Just like that, sir, I don't want any monetary benefit, but still somebody coming up and telling me that, yes, you have done a good job. So this is not there. I feel very bad. So that is if it is a weak Saturn. And the other way around, if it is a strong Saturn, they do not bother about social or professional recognition. They keep doing their job. They don't even feel that they are doing what, as in earlier case, it was like, I am doing the donkey's job. They don't feel that. They'll feel that they are doing their job because it is written in their destiny. It is their duty to perform. They perform and they finish it. They are happy. They come home. They are happy. So they do not crib because it is a strong Saturn. So they feel that this is what is destined. So the outlook of how we take up our life changes depending on how Saturn is posted in the sixth house. So the next point is rebellistic service. The person goes against the social norms and rules and tries to reform the society, because many societies and communities have stringent beliefs and patterns which are fixed. So it might be different because of this modernization, the way the thinking goes, we can understand that whatever rules in the society, they have to be modified to a certain extent because it has to fit into the modern world. So atrocities or places where freedom is not given, Saturn cannot take it when it is in the sixth house. They go home to home, door to door, they start campaigning. And these people are very strong. They are strong in their head because they have very good deep belief within themselves that whatever they are doing is correct. So these people are very, very good with regard to social service, community service, and reform, trying to reform them. And all this if Saturn is retrograde in the sixth house. So reformation, Saturn should be retrograde. It cannot be normal Saturn. They will simply go with the tide of the society. Okay. Now again, point to point. So people, please don't get confused. I will be switching from weak Saturn, strong Saturn, normal Saturn, retro Saturn. So please do not get confused, listen to the point once again. If people are learning, please listen to the point once again, and go back and see what I have switched on from weak Saturn to strong Saturn or something like that. So please do not unnecessarily get bungled up here. So now, for a weak Saturn, the financial flow will become tight. It will be very tough for them to make the buck. Maybe their expenditure is also less and normal, but still, a weak Saturn will always feel the hardship of earning that money. A strong Saturn, very good earnings. They are, from their own self, and also good support from family. They have an excellent support. Why? Because the sixth house is the ninth from the 10th and 10th from the ninth. This is very important. I keep repeating this for all planets, but particularly for Saturn. If Saturn is strongly posited in the sixth house, that means professional life, you will be lucky. In the long run, you will be lucky. And 10th from the ninth, that is, there will be a lot of blessing of karma, good karmic blessing from your father or forefathers or your elders. That is what is the ninth house. So that was point number 6. So let me go to point number 7, where it is chronic ailment if it is weakly posited. The organ affected or afflicted from another planet because of its position in the chart will not be allowed to recover and become normal. It's the cure. If something has happened, the cure, like for example, there is a bone joint pain because of sun. Sudden cure will not happen because there is a weak Saturn in the sixth house. Usually, the sixth house is seen for understanding the capacity to recover from any ailment. So, if you have Mars in the sixth house, the best position for recovery. Sun in the sixth house, the second best position for recovery. Saturn, weak Saturn in the sixth house, worst position for recovery. Very slow it is. So, very slow in the sense that you feel that it's a chronic problem. I'm suffering from asthma for 6 years, 10 years, I'm not getting the cure. That's because you may have a weak Saturn in the sixth house. You have to check your charts. But still, don't go deep into these things. Please learn from class number 1. I think, now in class number somewhere 269 or 270, I don't know. But yeah, please learn slowly. Don't jump into predictions. First, learn fully. So for sun, it might be the bones, the blood, that's a spleen where the blood is produced. The strength is less because of the weak Saturn in the sixth house. Moon, teeth, immunostrength, mood swings, getting eccentric ideas, flowing with too much of what we call as depression, flowing into the depression, the mood of depression. So that is where the mood swings have come. That's what I have made a note about. Then for Mars, it is the aggressiveness in the blood, the stamina, the muscle strength. They will lack that. It will become chronic, weakness, frail body, becoming anemic. So these things are there because if Mars is weak and Saturn is weak in the sixth house, so skin and nerves problem and the problems of learning, they can become slow, retarded. That's because of Mercury, which is weak in the chart or afflicted in the chart. So liver afflicted, pancreas afflicted, and problem with regard to digestive problems, gastric problems because of the Jupiter. Liver and pancreas, that is diabetes and all those things. And the hypertension because of the sun. So ovaries, fertility, sexually transmitted diseases, having the varicose veins, problems in the heart, the cardiac problem, these things can happen if Venus is weak and Saturn is weak in the sixth house. It's not that Venus has to conjunct Saturn in the sixth house, but if it is weak somewhere else also, these things can happen. So obesity, cancerous impurity, tumors, problems of cyst, PCOD, these can happen if Saturn is weak in the sixth and Rahu is afflicting the chart. Ketu, it's for insanity, depression, erratic behavior, unnecessary aggression, leaving everything and simply walking away. These are the difficulties if it is Ketu in the Ketu is weak and Saturn is in the sixth house and it is weak. So see, the difficulty in treating these ailments is because this internal strength of the native, because of Saturn in the sixth house, makes the native endure the pain. That's the problem. See, if the native is enduring pain, the problem is that he or she will not be able to reveal. See, if I keep holding my leg and telling that I can't walk anymore, that means very clearly my problem is there in the leg. If I have problem in the throat and I keep coughing, I have some problem here. So then that means I have to say you don't have to hold an organ for that, but still you will know where your problem is, right? If you express, these people don't express. So that is the difficulty. Whenever they express, it will be the nth stage, it will be fourth stage cancer, it will be lot of difficulties. I have seen charts where diagnosis is done late and then we suddenly find out that, oh my god, this is the last stage, what to do now? There's no more time left. So this happens because of their power to endure. How much ever the pain, they will simply keep it inside. So they do not reveal. And this is a difficulty to diagnose the problem in an early stage. See, people who are very frail, they keep crying even for a small problem. Even a small thorn goes into their hand, they'll keep shouting, jumping around. That's a different issue where they don't have endurance power at all. Here, the endurance power is so high that it's very difficult for us to diagnose or even treat because by that time it would have become chronic. Anyway, sixth house Saturn, it helps in happy married life. It gives an understanding spouse, and because there is patience, the native will have time to understand his or her spouse. This is from the perspective of the native with the sixth house Saturn, which is strongly posited. Yeah. So again, strong Saturn in the sixth house, they have less number of enemies because these natives are having a lot of patience and perseverance. Whatever the task is given, they will not sleep until it is finished. So they do their work on day-to-day basis and slog and slowly finish the job. So they are very good finishers. So they do not keep things pending. So that's a very important point for Saturn in the sixth house. We have seen people who are half skilled and people who take up the job and don't do it, and they start begging others to finish it for them in their. You can see this in day out in your offices. So this is a good placement for business because these people know how to talk to labor, how to talk to their staff. So they have a good lot of servants, helping staff, labor who are ready to work for them because these people go to their level. It's not that labor means it's low level. No, it is to their particular level of understanding. They go there, they sit there, they understand their difficulties and they solve their problems so that your job, your business will run very fast and good. So this is very good for business. Saturn in the sixth house, excellent for business. Okay, I have not touched with regard to the loan. Ripu, Runa, Roga. I have touched enemies, Roga, competitiveness. Competitiveness. I'll come to that point. I have not touched that. Okay. So, if Saturn is weak, then there will be difficulty in allotment of loan, allotment of the amount of loan, because you might have asked for 10, they would have given you 6 or 4. So it would be difficult. You will have to adjust the other amount from somewhere else. You will have to pay high interest, again get caught into the web of paying interest. And repayment is a very difficult thing. You will be like, going through hardships to repay it. A lot of dissatisfaction in repaying the loan. So if it is a strong Saturn, you will first of all not take loan. You will try to adjust in whatever you have. You will not try to do things which are out of your bound. So Saturn, when it is strong, people will always try to keep themselves into a particular setup. They are not extravagant. So Saturn weak, lot of fear, lot of anxiety, lot of palpitation. Saturn strong, lot of patience, lot of perseverance, and they don't care for failures. They are okay with the failures. They will take that particular point as failure is a stepping stone of success. They keep going ahead. They keep trying and trying. They never say no. But if it is a weak Saturn, they don't try at all. They want it, but they don't try it. The motivation is very less. So the competitiveness increases if it is a strong Saturn, decreases if it is a weak Saturn. And if it is a retro Saturn, they don't compete at all. They have their own path. See the fun. If you have your own path and you have your own journey, where is the competition? It is your path. People have to follow you. So that is the leadership what Saturn retro shows when it is in the sixth house. And it is a very difficult subject to talk about a retro Saturn, because who is along with it, whether there is Jupiter along with it aspecting Sun there, or if Ketu is sitting, Rahu is sitting, we don't know. So we can't simply generalize a retro Saturn in the sixth house. People keep asking me, but it is a tough subject. It is not an easy subject to simply tell something. I make notes and only then talk, because I keep scribbling points. So if I don't scribble points, I'll not be able to talk. So it's like if I keep doing my notes, only then I will be having the confidence to talk, because I don't want to skip the points. So please make, if you are a serious student of astrology, make notes, stick to the points, verify them with your charts. Take 100 charts, one after the other, keep verifying them, and then only you should be satisfied that yes, this is happening. So thank you very much for today's class.